The Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, has been explaining and justifying the decision of President Bola Tinubu in the declaration of the state of emergency in Rivers State and explaining some of the legal issues. And Vice Admiral Ibaz is today sworn in as administrator in Rivers State. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today live on Channels Television. I am Shonwa Kimaloye here in Abuja. We're still following for you what is happening in Rivers State, in and out of the state, and every of the activities affecting or impacting on the governance and the lives of the people of the state. Tonight we'll be breaking the stories down more for you, especially some of the development that have happened today and what could those events mean for the future of the state going forward. So tonight, let's begin with a story from Kogi State. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan seems to be under some kind of pressure from political opponent in our constituent. Some constituents of the Kogi Central Senatorial District have initiated a recall process against her, citing a vote of no confidence in our representation. The recall process witnessed in some parts of the Senatorial District saw some number of electorates or members or people who queue up to register their support for the recall process. However, in other parts of town, there are agitations and protests against the recall process, as we see women and some other constituents took to the streets in protest to campaign against what they describe as political manipulation to force the lawmaker out of the National Assembly. Those who are supporters of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan are saying that this is the handiwork of political opponents who wants to use the back door to remove the senator from representing them in the senatorial district. And of course, some of them who have been speaking in an amateur video have been speaking on what they perceived as what as being politically motivated.
Early morning, this early morning, we were informed that that we should come for an empowerment. When we get to the field, we are asked to bring our voter's card and the VIN, the number here. So we now ask why, because we heard that we should come for the empowerment. So they gave us a form to fill. You fill with your VIN and pen your signature. Then most of us will refuse that we cannot do that because we don't know that an empowerment can be done in this way. So we now left the field.
You want to tell me now that you don't know that it's issue of a record?
We don't know that there is an issue of a record. So we left. Everybody left.
We are just said to be here for an empowerment, and we are given an instruction to come with our voter's card. So that was the instruction given to us, that we should be here with our voter's card for an empowerment. No, there's nothing like recall. We don't have anything against our senator.
A very interesting political scenario playing out in that senatorial district. Don't forget, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan was suspended by our colleagues in the floor of the Senate, and she has gone ahead to lay allegations of sexual harassment against some of our colleagues, especially the Senate President, Goswi Akpabio. Tonight, our spotlight is on Rivers State, and we're going to be beaming all the light on what has been said today, things that have been done today, the implication on Rivers State. Stay with me, everyone, because now we'll serve you some of your political roundup stories.
The House of Representatives has adjourned plenary till Thursday, March 20th, without debating the emergency declaration in Rivers State. Less than 24 hours after President Bola Tinubu declared a state of emergency in Rivers State for an initial period of 6 months, lawmakers in the Green Chamber are seen conversing in small units. A heated exchange then ensues between two female lawmakers on the Rivers issue, Blessing Amadi from Rivers State and Marie Ebikake from Bayelsa State. Other lawmakers intervene, and calm is restored as the Deputy Speaker arrives to preside over the day's session. A bill seeking to domesticate the Domestic Workers' Bill of Rights in Nigeria has passed the second reading in the House of Representatives. The bill, sponsored by Honorable Akin Alabi, aims to establish comprehensive labor protection for domestic workers, ensuring fair wages, improved working conditions, and legal recognition of their rights. And the House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the conditional cash transfer program of the federal government. Honorable Abbas Adigun, who moved the motion, reminded the House that in order to ensure effective and efficient delivery of the program in August of 2024, nominees for the program were informed that they will be paid the sum of 50,000 naira each for 3 months. However, some nominees received payments months after the information was completed and submitted to the portal, while other nominees have not. And the National Cash Transfer Office has not responded to the payment of other nominees to date. The president of the Nigerian Bar Association, Afam Osigwe, has held the leaders in Rivers State responsible for the political situation in the state. He says they've refused to look out for the welfare of the people and what works for them. Mr. Osigwe made the assertion at a news conference organized by the association ahead of the NBA Session on Legal Practice annual conference. According to the president, facts available do not justify a declaration of a state of emergency in the state, as Section 305, which the president hinged his decision on, was not fully met.
Provisions of Section 305 that should be made under Section C, D, E, and F, I think, have not been met. And we also do not believe that assuming without considering that the facts and circumstances on ground in Rivers State create such reasonable apprehension that there will be breakdown of law and order to warrant or justify.
The Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice of Edo State, Mr. Samson Osagie, insists that democratically elected local government councils remain operational in the state in spite of the suspension of chairmen who are currently undergoing investigation. The Attorney General, who spoke to journalists in Benin City, the state capital, in reaction to the People's Democratic Party's demand that the Federation Account Allocation Committee stop monthly payments of funds to the state, on the grounds that the state was in contravention of the Supreme Court decision on local government autonomy. He describes the PDP's call as insensitive.
The parties that are challenging it are those in court. So that is one. So it is laughable that PDP could leave the confines of this suit it has filed and be asking for extraneous help when they are already in court challenging and asking for the same thing. So it means they are not even sure of what they are asking for.
The Aaron Chukwuemeka group of the People's Democratic Party in Rivers State has thrown its support behind President Tinubu's decision to declare a state of emergency in the state. Addressing a news conference at the party secretariat in Port Harcourt, Mr. Chukwuemeka blamed Governor Fubara for the situation. He pledged that they will support the new administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Ibas, in his new role. The National Human Rights Commission is advocating an interagency collaboration for the implementation of the National Action Plan for the promotion and protection of human rights in Nigeria. Executive Secretary of the Commission, Mr. Tony Ojukwu, made the call at the official presentation of the plan in Abuja. According to him, the implementation of the National Action Plan will impact citizens' lives positively as it covers a wide area of the recommendations of the Vienna Declaration and Program of Action adopted at the World Conference on Human Rights in 1993.
Thank you so much. It's day 2, actually, because from yesterday, it was effective from the proclamation and the declaration of the state of emergency. It took immediate effect from what the president declared on Rivers State. Today, what we are seeing is President Bola Tinubu swearing in Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, retired as an administrator of Rivers State. The administrator was sworn in following a short meeting with the president. He arrived at the villa earlier today, and the swearing in happened just moments after we saw the chief of staff to the president and some other senior members of the cabinet at the meeting. This is how the swearing-in went.
I will discharge my duties to the best of my ability, faithfully and in accordance with the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and the law, and always in the interest of sovereignty, integrity, solidarity, well-being, and prosperity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that I will strive to preserve the fundamental objectives of directive principles of state policy contained in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that I will exercise the authority vested in me as administrator so as not to impede or prejudice the authority lawfully vested in the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and so as not to endanger the continuance of the Federal Government of Nigeria, that I will not allow my personal interest to influence my official conduct or my official decisions, that I will, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that I will abide by the Code of Conduct contained in the 5th Schedule of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
All right, that was how the swearing-in went, and afterwards, the Rivers administrator, because in Nigeria, we now have 35 state governors and 1 administrator. So the Rivers State administrator, Vice Admiral Ibas, spoke after the meeting and the swearing-in.
First of all, I think we know the circumstances that led to where we are here. And Mr. President made it very clear in his broadcast. And if the main issue is that of maintaining law and order in the state, I think for any meaningful activities to take place in Rivers State, that is the utmost task that I have, to work together with all other stakeholders to ensure that we bring peace, order, and security and stability to the people and government of Rivers State and Nigeria at large.
Well, the president announced his appointment yesterday at a nationwide broadcast. He declared a state of emergency in Rivers State, suspending Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his deputy, Ms. Ngozi Odu, and the Rivers State House of Assembly members. The president has hinged his decision on Section 305 of the Nigerian Constitution. But afterward, the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, has been explaining the reason behind President Bola Tinubu's decision and the suspension of Governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara. Take a listen to the Attorney General's defense.
There were what I would call telegraphing of the militants, I would say, by the governor. And the reason I said so was when he beckoned to them that, oh, he would let them know when it was time to act, to the militants. Let us say it was wrong. Did he come out to disown them? The answer is no. And a week after they swung into action, you see or witness vandalization of oil pipelines. Don't also forget that before now, that is when this government came into office, Nigeria was producing about 900,000 liters of oil, barrel of oil a day. With the efforts and all the ingenuity that the president had, he ensured that the production rose to about 1.5 barrel per day. That's about 45 of something increase. Governors were smiling home at the end of the month with about 60% increase in their take-home to their various governors. Then somebody rose or encouraged or became inactive when he was supposed to act. There was not a word dissuading the threat, the militants who issued this threat. Then the other one is about compromise and replacement. It appears so Don't forget, I think yesterday there was a notice of impeachment from the House of Assembly. If that impeachment had been allowed to take its full course, then the governor would have lost entirely and completely. So in a way, if you say it's a compromise, I will agree that instead of allowing the impeachment process to continue, and which in the end would have seen both the governor and the deputy governor out of office and mean out for the entirety of the 4-year term.
That's the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi. Well, the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Amechi, has been speaking also. In a statement, he calls it an affront on democracy. Rotimi Amechi, part of his statement reads, quote, "With this singular move, Mr. President has technically suspended and truncated democracy in Rivers State. This clearly violates our constitution, the same constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that Mr. President swore to uphold. The unlawful suspension of elected democratic institutions in my dear Rivers State points to a brazen attempt at power grab in the state by forces and persons who do not have such constitutional powers. The unfolding events in Rivers State in the past month points to a clear orchestrated plot by some persons to unconstitutionally perpetrate and impose themselves on the people." Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has also been responding. He calls it, he said it blames the state of emergency and the escalation of violence in the state on President Bola Tinubu, the presidential candidate of Labour Party in the 2023 election. Mr. Peter Obi has described the situation as unconstitutional and reckless. Let's get some more insight, especially a legal one. Man that always speak about some of these issues, Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, is live for us. Thank you so much, Mr. Falana, for joining us tonight. Give us an understanding, and I know, and you can go on, and mention the case of Ladoja, mention the case of Plateau State, mention the case of Ayo Fayose. Ayo Fayose was one person that also warned Governor Fubara to be wary of not offending in some weekend. And you will remember that those are the Obasanjo days. If you look at the Jonathan days, the case in Yobe, the case in Adamawa, where the state of emergency were declared. But what makes these unusual, or what makes it different or distinct, is the suspension of a governor and other politically elected persons in the state, similar to what we saw in the days of Obasanjo. But you heard the defense of the Attorney General of the Federation, your very good friend and Senior Advocate of Nigeria. Section 305 is what the president hinged his decision on. What is your own take based on the law?
Action with profound respect to the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Mr. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. If you look at the entirety of the Constitution, and there are 320 sections of the 1999 Constitution, no provision, not one, provides for or even suggests the removal of the elected president, elected governor, elected legislators, elected chairmen and councillors. Because we are no longer under a military junta to warrant the appointment of a military administrator to govern any part of the federation. Section 305 empowers the president of the republic to declare a state of emergency, either at the request of the governor or on its own initiative. And what that means is that once a state of emergency is declared, the president is empowered to adopt extraordinary measures to restore law and order when it has broken down or when it is threatened. For the avoidance of doubt, Section 45 subsection 3 of the Constitution defines a state of emergency extraordinary measures. In other words, it can increase police presence in the state. It can deploy troops in the state with the approval of the National Assembly. Now, the president said in his broadcast, the House of Assembly, the building was destroyed, it has not been rebuilt for 14 months, and so on and so forth. With profound respect, Section 11, subsection 4 of the Constitution provides that in a situation where the House of Assembly of the state is unable to cease to perform its constitutional functions, the National Assembly will step in and take over to make laws for that state. In other words, the National Assembly will take over the functions of the State House of Assembly and assist the governor.
Just for a moment, apologies to cutting.
Yeah. Let me just finish.
Okay. Apologies, Mr. Falana. Your audio is muffled. We'll try to rectify it in a moment, and we will come back to you. The audio is muffled. Interesting conversation, but we want to be able to hear clearly, and I'm imagining that the viewers also might be bothered about the quality of the audio. So our engineers will try to work on the quality of the audio. I will come back to you just in a moment. But let me bring into the conversation also tonight, I have Honorable Solomon Bob, who is a member of the House of Representatives in Rivers State, representing the state in the National Assembly. He's live for us here in our Abuja studio. Honorable, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Interesting times in your state. And I imagine that this matter was supposed to come up because there are two timelines that were given by the Constitution. 2 days when there is plenary or the National Assembly is in session, 10 days when the National Assembly is not in session. 1 day is gone, you're done with 1 day. Tomorrow is another day to go. And plenary has been postponed to tomorrow on the floor today. But what happened? You're a very good friend of Nyesom Wike. You work closely with him. Did you see this kind of situation, in such a situation where it will escalate to the point that there will be a state of emergency declared by the president?
Well, thank you, Sean, for having me. Frankly, what's going on in Rivers State is embarrassing to all of us. And all of this is fairly at the feet of Governor Fubara. He has embarrassed all of us and diminished our stature in the Committee of State in this country. I never saw this coming. No one saw it coming. I think Fubara has basically two personalities. He has a public appearance, a persona, and then he has a private appearance that is, very different from the one he projects outside. Okay, publicly it cuts the image or tries to cut the image of a quiet, peaceful man, a dove, and all that stuff. But behind the cameras, he's full of profanity. He's very haughty, extremely, basically incomparably arrogant. Okay, but
that's not in Fubara. A lot of people know.
Absolutely, I'm telling you, people don't know this.
Are you saying this because you are a friend to Nyesom Wike?
No, not that. See, I'm very careful about what I say about people, but I have studied this man. I have studied him. He's indescribably arrogant man, full of profanity, trash talking. That's who he is. This is not the image you guys see. He's a pretentious man. Nobody saw this coming. Okay, basically he conned everyone. He conned everyone, frankly. And if you just go beneath, ask those who know him very well. It's not the Fubara you guys are seeing. This guy is dastardly. See why he's brought the state to. You see that was, riding the crest of, we are an A-list state in this country, envy of most states. Okay, we have things going nicely. The president has done a fantastic, fabulous job. We were going nicely. Everything was good. We had harmonious living. He came in here, sowed confusion, sowed division, acrimony, tribalism, the most unbridled kind of tribalism I've ever seen in my life. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. He came in and, talked about, I haven't seen this level of primordial behavior in my life, never. And nobody saw this coming, frankly. So it takes all of us, we are all shocked, because we never saw that aspect of him. Okay, manifested it after he got into office.
So now, the feud that we see, political feud between Sim Fubara and Nyesom Wike, and there are reasons that have been given for the reason why that political misunderstanding have gone on for a while. And there are those who have blamed your very good friend Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the FCT, that he is overbearingly trying to manipulate the hands of the governor. And the governor will tell you, even in fact, the statement, he says everything that the president said should be done. He acceded to it. He has done it. But it's on the side of the minister, Nyesom Wike, that has not fulfilled his own side of the divide. Why does it look like those of you who are on the side of Nyesom Wike makes it look difficult for Sim Fubara to govern Rivers State?
Well, first, let me just say this. Wike is not he's my friend in some sense, but it's my leader, actually. That's a better description. Okay, it's my leader. Now, listen. I don't know why you guys keep dragging Wike's name into it. Nigerians like to hypothesize. You look at the facts before you, on record, and what you can see. It's a fight between this man, Fubara, and the House of Assembly. But because these guys have failed, have refused to pledge allegiance to him, by reason of his behavior, I told he's very haughty. Okay? A month, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 months, I mean, three weeks into his time in office, he never saw any of these guys. He rebuffed them completely. He had this imperial air, like he's a ruler. Okay? I don't know his background. It's embarrassing. He has an imperial air that he's a ruler. Okay? And he can talk down on people who were also elected just like he is. He's the head of an arm of government. These guys are the members of a different arm of government. But I think that, my sense is that he also understands the basic principles of democracy. Because I don't think he has any sense of how democracy works.
Does he also establish, just a moment, Honorable, okay. Does he establish some of the allegation that the Sim Fubara is not an institutional politician like yourself, those of you who have been in politics, who are patronizing politicians to curry favor and make your governance process easier. Perhaps he doesn't understand the manner in which some of you institutional politicians run things, and that is what has angered some of you.
No, I disagree with that. I don't know what you mean by institutional politicians. Before I came to politics, I was in legal practice for many years.
I mean, institutional politicians are those who run politics in the manner in which it has always been run.
No.
But for someone who is seen as an outsider and brought in now, a lot of people were angry when Nyesom Wike nominated him and brought him to be governor of the state.
Listen, let me make this point to you. Nobody was angry, okay? Those of us who work with the minister, okay, who are lawyers for the minister, nobody was angry, okay, after the choice fell on Fubara. Nobody was angry. We all wholeheartedly worked.
But there are dissension.
What dissension?
There were those, before the primaries, there were those who say, no, why would he bring
No. Those are those who never wanted him from the get-go and who opposed him until election and even after election, okay? They were those to whom he pivoted after he got elected and left those of us who worked for him. Nobody begrudges, there's nothing Fubara has that I want, frankly. I'm not that sort of person. There's nothing he has that I want. My point is that this man conned everyone. His character is different from what you guys are seeing. So the point you made about, agreeing to, terms of settlement, I was there at the villa, December 2023. I was there. Everything on that 8-point settlement, he accepted. He acceded to all of them. They will take this one off. Governor, do you accept? Yes, I accept, sir. Do you accept? Yes, I accept, sir. At the end of the day, they asked him, what do you have to say? He said only one thing. He made only one request. Please, I accept everything you've said, and I thank you so much. I thank you so much for your family role in bringing this dispute to an end. I make only one request. Let no one who has supported me be victimized. The president gave the assurance. And then everything was signed off. No sooner had that been done than, those who were manipulating him went back and told him, no, you can't do that. He has no constitutional authority to do that. You're signing away your authority as a governor. He doesn't understand how, governance is about continuous engagement. Politics, basically, talking to people, you discuss, you talk every time. That's what politics is about. But you don't talk to anybody, okay? He snubbed the members those he was supposed to make his closest friends, closest allies. He snubbed them from the beginning. And then he got himself into trouble, and then he started looking for scapegoats, who to blame, okay? And let me tell you, I think it should already be in the public domain. What led to all of this was his attempt to remove their speaker within a month or so of his time in office. The people said, no, you can't remove our speaker. What was the reaction? Rather than call them, talk to them, he seized their money, seized their allowances, seized their salaries. When the guys remained, refused to bow, okay, because the idea of salary was to think that would make them bow. When they refused to bow, he went and pulled down their structures, okay? So the way Nigerians look at this issue is very superficial to me, and I'm a bit amazed about how we look at issues in this country. We live in a post-truth world now, where people don't look at issues, they look at personalities. What governs opinion, in the public opinion in this country is emotion and personality. No one cares about what the facts are. The facts are there for everyone, but look at the facts and chase shadows. They hypothesize, oh, who else could have been behind this man or behind these people? Oh, it must be Jason Wike. So if it's Jason Wike, then we must demonize the process, demonize Jason Wike, and ignore the fact that stare you in the face. So to your point, there is nothing, in my view, and it's not about my being on Wike's side. No, this is about an honest assessment of what has happened in Rivers State. Okay, it is not. You make the point about not being an institutional politician, whatever that means. Let me tell you, he's not the first to come into public office at that level, okay, not being a mainstream politician. He's not the first. But no one has manifested this level, this kind of, bigotry, even animosity towards who made him. I mean, this guy was, let's be frank, he was a nobody. He was nobody, he had no name recognition. He brought him obscurity, and then he turned out to Frankenstein's monster. The whole point of his time in governance, he thinks, is to destroy who made him. And when Nigerians look at these things and they are clapping for a man like this, it amazes me.
So now, with what has happened now, yes, as a lawyer, yes, do you think that the decision of the president was right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
On what part of the law?
Well, I think I was listening to Mr. Falana a few minutes ago. I cited the section 303 C and D. Any of them can avail, because let me tell you, when you are dealing with an emergency situation, okay, you resort to extraordinary measures. That is what the constitution says, extraordinary measures. Now, extraordinary means very unusual. Very unusual. In that circumstance, okay, you cannot have a normal situation in which things were working or things were supposed to work under the Constitution. Okay? Now, when you have a state of emergency in any situation, in any country or a part thereof, certain rights are abridged. Certain rights, even your own inalienable right, fundamental rights are abridged. If, for instance, now, we were under emergency rule now, you can't be talking about freedom of movement, association, and whatnot. You cannot. You can be arrested even without warrant. You can't be. You can't be talking about those stuff. Even your inalienable rights can be abridged. Not talk about, or let alone rights, a privilege of being in office. Being in office is a privilege. It doesn't equate in any way to the fundamental rights I mentioned. Your rights under Section 4 can be abridged if you're under emergency rule. So when the president has looked at the whole situation and feels that this is the best measure to adopt to restore law and order, okay, and public safety in Rivers State, okay, within his rights under Section 305, 3C or D, any of them can avail him.
Now, the question will be, in what, and I'm asking you as a lawyer, if you can educate us, in what part of the Constitution does the president have the power to suspend a governor?
Well, it follows naturally, okay, from his powers under emergency rule, okay? If the Constitution gives you power, okay, emergency powers, okay, within the context of that emergency power, you can bring about such measures, okay, you think can go to the root of tackling whatever the problem is. Let me tell you, it's not everything that is spelled out, okay? The Constitution usually sets out broad principles, okay, all over the world, sets out broad principles, okay? Then the gaps can be filled in, but you work within the framework of those broad principles. This Constitution has given the president emergency powers, and within the framework of those emergency powers, he has the right to adopt such measures, okay, to deal with an extraordinary situation. Because
just for a moment, sir. Just, there are very distinct executive offices as prescribed by the Constitution. The
Yes,
president, the vice president, the governor, the deputy governor. And the Constitution is very clear on how they can be removed. By death, by resignation, by impeachment. Suspension isn't one of them.
Listen, you mentioned removal. Removal is different from suspension. Okay, I said the power of the president to suspend and else from his powers, in an emergency situation. When you have, like in Ukraine today now, okay, your basic rights cannot be guaranteed.
Can the president suspend you as a lawmaker?
That's a different situation.
No, the president did suspend all the lawmakers.
Listen, that's
in your state.
That's a different situation.
No, it's not
listen,
different.
Listen to me.
It's the same.
Let me lay a background. If something happens and warrants, okay, him taking extraordinary measures, respecting where we work, you can do that. Respecting where we work. But it's difficult for me to fathom a situation in which something can happen regarding where we work that can, lead to such extraordinary...
And I come back to the question I ask you.
Okay.
You are a representative of the people, I wanted to remember the people you represent, your federal constituency. Now, if you as a representative of people, elected by the people, if President Bola Tinubu declared today that Honorable Solomon Bob has been suspended, do you think that's constitutional?
No, there has to be a reason for that. There has to be a reason for that.
Listen to me. Just for a moment, just this question. Can the president do anything that is not contained in this constitution?
He can do anything within the context of emergency powers. That's what I'm telling you.
Is the emergency powers captured here?
They are broad. Of course, can't you see? What is 305?
As a lawyer, sorry, sir.
Yes.
If the law does not say something, can you do it?
If the law gives you broad powers, let me explain to you. It gives you broad powers, okay, regarding the situation. You can do certain things that you will not ordinarily do in an abnormal situation. That is what talks about extraordinary measures. Okay? Now, you are dealing with a situation where a governor is the malfeasor, the chief felon in a state.
That's a stronger way
of
to...
Of course, it is.
The allegations are...
No allegations. These are facts you know. These are facts you know.
About what? How would you refer to a governor as a felon?
He's a felon. He pulled down the entire arm of government.
But
listen to me. Listen to me.
Do you have evidence that he did it?
Who else did it?
I'm asking you, the Supreme Court. But when you come on national television and you accuse a sitting governor as a felon, as pulling down the House of Assembly, I like you to pull that back because you don't have evidence. No, honorable. No, I wouldn't allow you.
Listen to me.
No, just honorable. No.
See the Supreme Court judgment. It's there, black and white.
You haven't read the one. I read the Supreme Court judgment, but there's no place the Supreme Court said that he was the one who pulled down the House of Assembly.
It's in black and white. You haven't read the judgment. It's in black and white.
But the court has not called Simfo Barra a felon. So when you
commit a criminal acts of pulling down...
But you don't have evidence.
Listen to me. I said it's black and white, Supreme Court judgment. Why are you interrupting me on this? Now listen, when you commit such a criminal act, what are you? What do you mean of felon? What do you mean of felon? I mean, we get into splitting hairs over things that don't matter in this country. What do you call that? What's the felon? It's in black and white. You haven't read it.
I've read it.
You haven't read it.
Judgment.
If you did, you have said it. It's there.
No, the portion you are referencing.
No, it's there. It's there.
The portion you are referencing. And sorry, let me educate you just about that Supreme Court judgment. No, let me educate you about it so that you know I've read it. Now, the portion you are referencing is the fact that the Supreme Court is laying the blame on the desk of the governor that this and this has happened, and this, in fact, is in the obiter, not in the substantive proclamation of the Supreme Court. So the question here is that you cannot sit in judgment on a governor when you are not a court of law.
I don't even get the drift of your argument. Listen, what I'm
telling you that the word you use tonight is wrong, and I'd like you to retrieve it.
One of the reasons why I shirk from coming for in the TV program in interviews are things like this. Okay, you can't use ordinary words. People give you connotations that don't make any sense. It's an ordinary word. I've told you. I've told you the points.
You can't declare someone a felon without
Listen to me. I've told you my authority for that. It's in the judgments. After here, go and read it. That's as simple as that. I'm not making this up.
As a lawmaker in Rivers State, how do you think that this can be resolved? Because going back and forth in an initial 6-month period, that's what the president said. But are those who are arguing that, look, the president's decision is not captured under the law to suspend the governor. Politically speaking, there are those who also say it is unfair because there are two forces here, the Simfo Barra force and the Nyesom Wike force. The Simfo Barra force political powers has been taken away from him. Nyesom Wike's power, political power, is retained. Is that fairness in resolving this matter?
It's a bit strange. Like I told you, Nigerians like to second guess and hypothesize. You see the facts before you. Those on record, who are the parties on record? House of Assembly, okay, led by the Speaker, and Governor Simvara. Why do you see Wike's name in it? These guys, because of Povera's behavior, do not take to him, okay? So does that mean to you that the instigator of the whole crisis is Minister Wike? No. If you are thinking that, then, you know, you're not thinking in a manner that is consistent with the facts.
So the president,
listen to me.
Yeah.
There is no circumstance in which to drag in Wike's name and suggest that.
Really?
Yes, to suggest that to create a balance. Okay, should have taken action against Wike.
Did you see what the president said? The president said he had called the parties involved.
Yeah, the parties. Who are the parties?
Was Wike part of the meeting you talked about?
Yes, he was there.
So why do you now think that he's not a party?
No, the parties you are referring to. Basically, in my opinion, and in fact, it's from the circumstance of what he said, are the parties to the dispute, House of Assembly and the governor. Simple, not Wike.
So was Minister Wike at that meeting?
Of course he was there.
Did he speak on behalf, was he being asked to concede on that day, at that meeting?
Concede what?
No, because the governor was asked to concede. There was a list to be followed.
What list?
You've mentioned
8 points, settlements.
Absolutely.
Yes. At the president ticked off everyone after the governor had consented. Okay. The minister didn't say what. He didn't have to say what. Because we were between the House, the person who spoke was the Speaker spoke, the governor spoke. Then the Speaker gave his consent to every item. The governor did the same.
So exonerating Minister Nyesom Wike.
Absolutely. I told you, listen to me. This country will have a low depth analysis. I'm not joking. We look for scapegoats. Oh, it must be Wike. So we have to believe whatever the other man says, because that one is, it appears like the weaker fellow.
So why does Minister Wike always talk about this? He's had the engagement, media engagement, talking about these issues, raising these issues. So all of a sudden, you are his friend, you're exonerating him. You're taking him out of the picture.
When you guys bring his name into it every
time.
No,
it's not we guys.
You guys,
he bring himself into it.
Media people bring his name every time. Let me tell you.
So each time Minister Wike talks about this, we are the one bringing it.
Media people bring his name into it, and then all these meddlesome interlopers over the country, all these article elements, obedience, they drag Wike's name into it because they have to find the reason, okay, to support Povera and go after the other disputants against him. That's the whole thing. This is how this country works, and it's so shameful.
Do you fear an escalation of violence following what has happened?
Well, if this holds, I think that consistent with the powers under the Section 305, there will be extraordinary measures taken on the ground to put everyone in check, to rein everyone, both those on this side, those on the other side. So I don't think there will be an escalation. The only way to go about it and prevent an escalation is something that the president has done. And for me, I think that even coming, should have come even earlier. But let me just say this: we are still holding the short end of the stick in all of this, because this looks like a face-saving thing for the governor, an attempt to even prolong his time in office, because he has committed egregious constitutional offenses, impeachable offenses that should have, made him leave office permanently. And not the kind of short stuff.
Do you think that this will be passed by the National Assembly?
I'm hopeful. I mean, I'm confident. Yeah, because the facts are clear. The facts are clear. If not for certain recent situations, okay, the governor's actions are basically unpardonable. My colleagues know what the issues are.
Just give me a moment, please. Mr. Falana is back with us, and I understand that we've rectified the audio. I can see Mr. Falana. Mr. Falana, if you can hear me now. Your position about the action of the president, and this is not the first time, and looking back at, in fact, newspapers in the days of Obasanjo, days of Jonathan, you've maintained the same stance about the powers of a president in a state of emergency. But what makes this unique is the fact that in declaring a state of emergency, the governor is a party in the crisis. So taking him out of the equation is an explanation and being given to this, that he became an onlooker and did not do anything. Mr. Falana.
Well, I'm not really interested in the politics of this matter, but in the relevant provisions of the Constitution. I was making the point that there are 320 sections of the Constitution. Nowhere is the president empowered to remove the governor of a state or suspend the governor of a state, suspend the deputy governor of a state, suspend the legislators in a state. Incidentally, the current administration, the current Bola Tinubu administration, sued the 36 state governors last year, or state government, over the removal of the dissolution of elected local government councils and replacement with sole administrators or caretaker committees. The Supreme Court, 7 justices unanimously held on that point that it is illegal and unconstitutional to remove, by governors to remove elected chairmen and councillors. It stands to reason that the president of the republic cannot remove an elected governor or suspend legislators. It is stated in Section 11 of Section 4, for the avoidance of doubt, that even when the National Assembly takes over the legislative functions of a state to make laws because the House of Assembly is unable to see, it is stated there that provided that the governor and the deputy governor shall not be removed from office. So, I mean, you can only remove a governor by, or suspend a governor either on ground that is indisposed. If a governor resigns, he can be removed. If he dies in office, the office becomes vacant.
But Mr. Falana, have you also thought about the lacuna or the silence that the Constitution has placed in the case of a state of emergency? And if you look at it, just like Honorable Bob posited earlier, that in a state of emergency, it leaves like an omnibus duty upon the president to be able to ensure that order is restored in the territory where there is crisis, which allows him, of course, because the reason is that the governor is seen as a party in the issue and is being accused of being an onlooker when this violence was happening.
You see, Seun, in the case of Plateau State, President Obasanjo accused Governor Dari of not taking appropriate steps. Before then, President Obasanjo warned that he was going to impose a state of emergency on Lagos in the year 2000. Governor Tinubu, as it then was, came out to warn the president that will not be allowed in Lagos and that Nigeria will not be, I mean, democracy should not be derailed in our country. In 2013, because of insurgency in the Northeast, President Jonathan imposed a state of emergency on 3 states, Adamawa, Borno, and Yobe. He was under pressure by anti-democratic forces. Remove the governor. And some of us came out to say, Mr. President, it is not permissible under the Constitution. And we challenge the people who are asking you to remove governors to point out the section. They refer to Section 305. Section 305 empowers the president to adopt extraordinary measures to restore a state, law and order, either in a state or in the entire federation. Are you suggesting that if a state of emergency is declared on the federation, pursuant to Section 305, will the National Assembly remove the president or the president will remove himself? So please, it happened even in 2021. The then Attorney General, Mr. Abubakar Malami SN, announced that the federal government was going to impose a state of emergency on Anambra State. And that means they will remove the governor. We came out to say, no, the president does not have such powers. And in fairness to President Muhammadu Buhari, he never did that. In 2013.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Mr. Falana. Is there a governor in Rivers State in the eye of the law as of now?
Of course, they claim that he has been suspended, not that he has been removed or impeached. It's the governor purportedly suspended. We are saying there is no law that allows a suspension of an elected officer, just like the National Assembly. The courts, not less than 10 judgments, have said you cannot suspend the legislator. When you do that, you are denying the constituency representation, either in the National Assembly or in a state house of assembly. I'm talking of decided cases. I'm talking of the law.
In all of this, Mr. Falana, the administrator, Vice Admiral Ibas, will be resuming duty. He's been sworn in. He's taking oath of office. And he's been given the powers and the standing instruction to restore peace and order in Rivers State. Can there be two leaders in that state? Is there a constitutional crisis in Rivers State, or what exactly do you think this is leading us?
So the administrator does not have the control of the forces of coercion in Nigeria. It is the president that is empowered by the constitution to restore law and order in any part of the country. The governor doesn't have the power, talk less of a sole administrator, whose appointment is unknown to the constitution. You said he took an oath. Under what section of the constitution? The man said, I'm taking an oath under the constitution. Were you appointed by the constitution? Were you elected by the constitution? Please, let's not politicize what is clearly a legal matter. If we are not careful, what stops the president from saying, oh, there is crisis in the southwest or in the entire southeast because of his...
But for you as a senior lawyer, Mr. Falana, as a lawyer, yes, what are the available remedies to be able to fix what you've said is a contravention of the Constitution?
The available remedies in any democratic society is the law court. Unfortunately, on 2 occasions, the Supreme Court refused to pronounce on the legality or the constitutional validity of the suspension of governors. In the case of Plateau State, in the case of Ekiti, the Supreme Court held that the attorneys general that sued to challenge the constitutional, the aberration, did not have the local standard. In other words, they were not authorized by the sole administrators. How could the sole administrators have instructed them to go to court? But this time around, those who are affected, those who have been removed or suspended from office illegally, have the right to approach the court for legal redress.
But Mr. Falana, this is not a removal, actually. It's a suspension. It means that it's in the exercise of the state of emergency as has been empowered by the Constitution on the president.
No, Sheung, there is no provision in Section 305 that allows the president to remove or suspend the governor. What it requires, and what that section says, it shall adopt extraordinary measures, which will mean increasing the security in the state.
But that's an interpretation of it, Mr. Falana, isn't it? That's an omnibus position that the law has taken, isn't it? The law has taken an omnibus position to say it shall take an extraordinary measure. Can't the parties who are in support of the declaration of the state of emergency say, my Lord, when they get to court to say, look, part of the extraordinary measure is also to suspend the governor, since the law did not say whether or not the governor shall be suspended.
So, Sheung, there is a state of emergency has been imposed on Rivers. Does that empower the president to remove or to suspend the governor, the chief judge of a state, or judges in that state without going through the NJC? Please, Section 11 of Section 4 says, even when the National Assembly, as in this case, if the sole administrator wants to pass the budget of that state now, he will have to go to the National Assembly. But that section says, on no ground shall the governor of a state, the deputy governor of a state be removed.
Now, let me allow Honorable Bob quickly to give me his final thoughts. Honorable.
Okay, thank you, Sean. See, just to reinforce my points earlier, that the president's powers, to remove the governor, the deputy, and to suspend the governor, the deputy, and members of the assembly, flows from his powers emergency powers under Section 305, okay? C and D. Now, those two paragraphs talk about extraordinary measures. I think this, the point of these two words, okay, the significance is lost on the senior advocates. These are the key words, okay? If now this country was at war, for instance, okay, there will be no National Assembly, okay? We too will be suspended. Okay, you cannot extend emergency powers, and anyone says that all rights that inure in normal circumstances also apply. No, that's not how it works. He has invoked his powers given to him by that section, and now it is within his own.
So invariably, anybody that the president does not like his face can impose state of emergency and remove
that's
them
not
in
the
their
point.
state.
That's not the point. You cannot downplay the seriousness of the situation that happened in Rivers State in the last 1 year, 6 months. You can't downplay that. What has happened in Rivers State has never happened anywhere in this country, where the governor and the House has dug out drum for this long, and governor has decided to real extreme measures, okay, to prosecute his case. So it's a party complicit in the whole thing, okay? The House Assembly won't let him because he has dug in as well. So in the circumstance, what will you do?
All right. Let me allow Mr. Falana. Mr. Falana, we have just a few seconds to go. Your final thought, Mr. Falana.
Yes, Sean, all the Constitution has set out, stipulated the conditions under which the office of a governor may be declared vacant, either temporarily or permanently. We say in law, the express mention of one thing is the exclusion of another. There's no provision in the Constitution for the suspension of a governor. A governor may be removed from office on grounds of ill health, if he dies in office, if he's impeached, or if he resigns. And those are the conditions under which a governor can do secede, whether temporarily by way of suspension or removal by impeachment or whatever. Once those conditions are set out, you cannot go to Section 305 and read into it what is not there. The express mention of those conditions is the exclusion of any other suspension. Now, I am saying there are decisions of the court on this matter. If a governor cannot remove an elected chairman or councillor of a local government set by the Supreme Court, can the president remove an elected? So the last one is that I'm happy we're saying that Section 305 allows the president to declare a state of emergency in the entire federation if the country is at war. Now, who is going to prosecute the war? Will the president resign, or I hereby remove myself?
All right, Mr. Falana.
Has been elected by the entirety of the Nigerian electorate. So there's no provision. President Bola Tinubu hit against it in Lagos in 2013. He warned President Jonathan not to remove governors in the Northeast region. The law, as it was yesterday, is the same law today.
Thank you so much, Mr. Falana.
Action is illegal.
Mr. Falana, thank you so much. Honorable Solomon, thank you so much. We're totally out of time. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm Sean Kimaloe. God bless Nigeria.